Okay, first of all, I got my fan rolling because it's pretty hot in here. Secondly, some of the CD covers you're gonna see, these are taken from my actual CDs. And when I was little, I used to write on crap, and I didn't really take care of them. Now I do, but you can tell some of these were definitely messed with when I was younger, so keep that in mind. But also remember that I am a changed person now when it comes to my CDs, so yeah. And now let's get into the video. Okay guys, so today we're going to go into all the AC/DC albums since I really changed my opinions on these. Um, so from now on, I'm gonna change. I changed my opinions, and I'm gonna show you guys all these my changed opinions. So we're only doing the studio albums, no live albums, no DVDs, nothing like that. I could do DVDs, but I don't have all of them. Like I do have all the albums on CD. So we're gonna get into these right now, and yeah. And 74 Jailbreak isn't gonna be on the actual list, even though it is an album. It's just ripped off from the Australian versions of High Voltage, and I think Jailbreak was from the Australian version too. So we're just gonna go through the studio albums. Although I am gonna mention 74 Jailbreak, I am just gonna we're just gonna get on with the list and not include 74 Jailbreak, although it will be included into this list. Number 1, High Voltage. This is the first album. This is actually the international version. I don't have the Australian versions of the albums that came out. I only have the international versions, which were the box sets that were released. So yeah, High Voltage. I'm gonna go over my favorite track and my least favorite track off each record, and then at the end of the video, we're gonna rank all of them together. So with Bon and Brian categories both, because it's very difficult to combine them both together. It's very unfair because Brian and Bon are very two different singers, and I don't want to just put them both together. I want to keep them because they're both very unique and different. So let's get into this right now. High Voltage. Favorite track off High Voltage probably would have to be It's Along at the Top, groovy as fuck, and least favorite track would probably have to be Little Lover. Dirty Designer Cheap International. Favorite track off of it's probably Rocker. Least favorite track is probably Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. Okay, this is a great record. Has a lot of good songs on it. You have to turn your head around or turn your screen around for this one, Let There Be Rock. As you can see, the cover is all screwed up because that was my 8-year-old or however what I was being a moron. But let's get into this one, Let There Be Rock. Favorite track on this record probably have to be Dog Eat Dog. Least favorite track probably have to be Overdose. Again, turn your screen around or tilt your head for this one too. Power Rage. Favorite track off here is definitely it definitely is Kick in the Teeth, and probably my least favorite track on here might be Up to My Neck in You. And Up to My Neck in You is a good song too. I mean, there is no bad AC/DC song, but I would probably say Power Rage. I like Up My Neck to You the least amount of any of these tracks, but overall this album is like good from start to finish. You know. Highway to Hell. Favorite track off this album probably would have to be Beating Around the Bush, and my least favorite track probably have to be Love Hungry Man. Oh, this is actually the last album before Bon Scott would have his untimely demise in 1980, early 1980, from alcohol poisoning. And this album is one of their best albums. It's actually this was the first album produced with Mutt Lange, who went on to produce the following 2 records. I think these were the only. I think this one and the next 2 I'm going to speak about was the only records he did produce with the band. So that's actually fun fact for you. This is the first record with the legendary Brian Johnson on vocals. Great singer. Brian's my favorite singer. It's very unique and it's more heavier in my personal opinion. People always say how the songwriting got stale around the time Brian joined and like after a certain amount of time when Brian was in the band. But honestly, I still feel like they had that power with them, you know. So let's get into it. favorite track on here is What Do You Do for Money, Honey, and least favorite track on here is Shake a Leg. For those about to rock, we salute you. This is a great album. The tour was actually the last tour Phil Rudd would play on drums before the Ball Breaker tour. He did play on Flick of the Switch, but he did not do the tour. And he was fired before the tour started. So, yeah. Most favorite track on here is I Put the Finger on You. Although I do really like Let's Get It Up and COD. COD. I think it's either COD or COD. But I like those ones, but I Put the Finger on You is probably the best one. And least favorite is probably Inject the Venom. Oh yeah, really check out Night of the Long Knives. That's a good one too. And there we have my favorite AC/DC album of all time, Flick of the Switch. Oh man, this album is so fucking amazing. There's some tracks that aren't my favorite, but this album is just great. It starts off great, and it ends pretty good. Although the final track on the album, Brain Shake, isn't my favorite song, it is very groovy, and I do like it. Let's get into my favorite song. I'm also kind of thinking of re-ranking some of these albums, because I did rank Flick of the Switch a while ago, but honestly, I'm kind of thinking of changing my opinions on some of these, because as I get older, I start to understand more stuff, more better. Also, this is the last album with Phil on drums before Ball Breaker, so yeah. Most favorite track on the album, my favorite track, Landslide. This is actually my favorite AC/DC song. I love it too much. And there's a goddamn train outside. Fuck off. And my least favorite is Badlands. Good song, and this album is good. There's no bad songs on it. It's just there's like some least favorite songs, you know. Oh yes, the album after this, Who Made Who? That's a soundtrack, so I can't really count it. Even though since there's only actual 3 original songs for the album, which is the title track, Who Made Who, and DT, which are actually my initials, Duncan Thomas, and Chase the Ace, but those are instrumentals, and I don't really know, and most of them is just, and most of the songs on there is like just old material, so I'm gonna skip that album, because it's a soundtrack, it's not an actual record, even though there are 3 new tracks on there. I'm gonna skip it. So let's get into the next one. Fly on the Wall. This is the first album with Simon Wright. His first tour was actually Flick of the Switch, but this album is his first album he plays on. And this is a really good record. I will admit, it's not my favorite one, but there's definitely a lot of good songs on this record, and I really recommend it to people to listen to this record. Although the mix was very shitty, we all know what happened there, and they decided to produce it by themselves. We can definitely admit that this album was phenomenal. Besides the production, it's very a guitar album. You know, there's a lot of riffs on this album, and it's actually very good. So yeah, check it out. Most favorite, Shaker Foundations. Although I said Danger in that one video, Shaker Foundations is definitely my favorite. And my least favorite probably have to be Send for the Man. Okay, we got Blow Up Your Video. Favorite track off here is probably That's the Way I Wanna Rock and Roll, and my least favorite is probably Kissing Dynamite. I don't know if I mentioned this, I probably did, but I'm going to mention it again because I'm not so sure if I did. This is actually the last album to feature Simon Wright on drums. He was a very good drummer. He wasn't my favorite drummer, but he was definitely a very good drummer. His style is very different from Phil and Chris, but it's very good, and yeah. Alright, Chris Slade's debut album, Razor's Edge. Favorite track off here is probably Fire Your Guns, and least favorite is probably Rock Your Hideout. Tilt Your Head, I think you're going to have to tilt your head or tilt your screen for a couple of the other ones in the past that we just did, but and probably as the time goes on, probably as the video goes on. But here we go, we got Ball Breaker. Favorite track off here is obviously Ball Breaker, and probably my least favorite is probably The Furier or whatever it's called. Good album. It features Phil on drums again. They would play on every single album after that, and yeah, it's good. And the tour was great too. No Bulls, probably their best concert released on DVD. Largo 81 and Landover 81, if you want to count with the city or whatever. I think Largo was in Landover, Landover's in Largo or whatever. It was definitely that concert in 1981. and Noble are probably the two best shows they did. So yeah. Oh, before I tell you guys this next one, I forgot to tell you guys some footage from Oakland 1978 September. I think it was September. Because I know they did a show in July 1978 in Oakland, and I know they did one in September 1978 in Oakland. It's either one of them, but actually some 8mm footage with no sound, sadly, surfaced. So that's pretty cool. You can check it out. Okay, Stiff Upper Lip. I believe this is the final album that George Young produced. So let's get into it. Favorite track off here is Stiff Upper Lip. Least favorite track is, in my opinion, Meltdown. Okay, we got Black Ice. Good album. This is the last album with Malcolm Young before he would have to leave the band after the Black Ice tour due to dementia, and he sadly met his demise in November of 2017. His brother George actually died a month before he passed, around a month before he passed, which is very sad too. But Malcolm's a very good player, and these are his last contributions to an AC/DC studio album. So let's rock in peace, Malcolm, and let's get on with the favorite tracks. Favorite track on here is War Machine. I used to say Rock and Roll Train, but it's definitely War Machine. And least favorite track is probably She Likes Rock and Roll. I actually got this album a couple weeks after it came out. It came out, I believe, in December of 2014. I got it during Christmas 2014. It's a 3D cover, so as you can see, there's the cover right there. And then if you turn it around, boom, you got that. So that's pretty cool. Rock or Bust. Probably most favorite track off here is Play Ball. And least favorite track is probably Hard Times. Least favorite track, yeah. And here is their most recent album, Power Up. Most favorite on here is definitely either Witch's Spell or Realize. It's probably Realized. And least favorite track on here is probably maybe Demon Fire. Okay, we're gonna go from the best, my most favorite Bon O'Brien album, and then my least favorite Bon O'Brien album. So here we go. We're gonna go Power Rage, Let There Be Rock, High Voltage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and Highway to Hell. Bryan albums from most favorite to least favorite. Flick of the Switch, Back in Black, For Those About to Rock, Ball Breaker, Black Ice, Stiff Upper Lip, Fly on the Wall, Blow Up Your Video. You know, I changed my mind on that one. Power Up, Rock or Bust, and Blow Up Your Video. Blow Up Your Video is probably my least favorite. I used to say Rock or Bust was, and I actually, man, I made a comment on a Facebook group chat, not Facebook group chat, it was like a Facebook post about least favorite AC/DC album. I don't know if I'll be able to find it again, but man, I put Rock or Bust on there, and I'll be honest with you, Blow Up Your Video is my least favorite record by the band. So yeah, there you go. So there you go. There's my whole thing. And oh yeah, I forgot to put 74 Java. Let's go back and let's check all this stuff out. I just did that and that. Oh man, I can't find it. Can't find it. Let me look. You know what? I'll just do it right here. Okay. Most favorite track off the album is probably Show Business, and least favorite is probably You Gotta Hold on Me. So yeah, or You Ain't Got a Hold on Me. It's one of those titles. All right. So yeah, there you have it. And I will see you the next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching.